Welcome back to Conversations with Sharon and Rosa. I'm Rosa.
And I'm still Sharon.
And just so you all know, Nina Simone is over there too. So that's Nina Simone.
The
She's
doggy.
out here with us right here.
A little doggy.
Well, hello, and thank you all for tuning in to another conversation with Sharon and Rosa. We appreciate each and every one of you all. And before we get into even the shout outs, I got to make an announcement.
Announcement.
So as we said a few videos back, that when we reach 800 subscribers, which we are there, we were going to have a surprise for you, and we also said we were going live. So
yes,
that is the surprise. We are going to go Facebook Live on November 14th at 10 o'clock Pacific time. So again, that's November 14th at 10 o'clock Pacific time. So put it on your calendars.
Please.
Set your clocks and be there for Conversations with Sharon and Rosa. It's kind of one of those, ask questions if you want. We just want to, get to know our viewers and our subscribers as well. So,
and we know there's a lot of questions because we get them every week, every day.
And y'all know our life is an open book. So
well,
bring them on. Yeah. Some stuff we may not talk about.
Look, we don't tell everything.
If I say I'm plead the fifth, then that means just move on.
I mean, it's your look. You may be curious, but it ain't your business.
No, we're just kidding. So we're looking forward to that. I just gotta figure out this Facebook Live thing if I'm gonna go into a room or whatever, because I don't really know all of that. But that's my assignment for this coming weeks, to figure that out.
Yeah, just in case you haven't noticed yet, she's the techie.
I try to be. Sometimes I have to ask my students at school. Now let's get into the shout outs. Kind of like that part.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you're in a good mood this morning.
Our first shout out goes to Fatima R. Thank you so much for watching Conversations with Sharon and Rosa. Thank you for just sharing our videos and being a subscriber. Next, Ninja Z. And I know you said you love our channel. We thank you for loving our channel. We thank you and we love you back. And last but not least is Dawn E. Thank you. Thank you again for sharing our videos. And for those, if this is your first time, please like, share, and subscribe to the video. So hit that subscribe button anytime during the show. It's over in the left-hand corner. Your left, my right, or something like that. But anyway,
it's on the screen.
It's on the screen. Yeah, something like that. But we thank each and every one of y'all. Now let's get into today's topic. Ooh. Y'all know Sharon came up with this, right?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I have to go with my spirit.
Yeah.
And for as the people who are just tuning in for the first time, or if you just been looking at us and still don't get it, but we don't rehearse. We don't we don't go into a deep cave and sweat it out for 3 days.
But
with
we
the next
will
topic.
have a conversation about it, and that's what might trigger this conversation.
Right.
We're like, we need to talk about that. Conversation with
something
Sharon
happens in life.
But we're not professionals. We just talk about what we talk about.
That's right. There's not a PhD amongst us, that we are well-lived and well-read, and we've been around the schoolyard a couple of times and all that.
Well, Sharon has looking for girls, but...
No, grown girls. Let's be very clear. Big girls. Okay.
So today's topic is grow up before you grow old.
Wow.
So what do we mean by grow up before you grow old?
Wow.
Growing up versus getting older.
Yeah. Some of us are just getting older, and we're not getting better.
She getting older. Just kidding.
Oh, you want to start with me about that? Oh, okay. They ain't ready. Don't make me pull this plug. I mean, all of us, it's simply put, the longer we stay on the planet, the more we live, the more we learn, the more we think, the more we hopefully evolve. And and understand what's going on in the world. And if that's too big of a picture for you, what's going on with you? And as the topic says, not to be cute or anything, let's grow up before we grow old. You could be young only once, but immature forever. What we're saying, and I truly believe this, is that, just because you've been here longer doesn't mean that you're better at it. Some of us going to leave here doing the same dumb stuff that we did 20 years ago, 15 years ago, which brings me to my first question. 15 years ago, who were you? What was the number one thing on your mind?
Well, even 5 or 10 years ago
I'm
for
gonna
the
get
young.
that. Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Not just 15. Like I said, we don't rehearse. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Not just 15 years ago.
I just thought 15 was a big gap for
well,
young
it is
audience.
a big gap, but some of us know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if that's too big of a bite for you to take 10. What about 10 years ago? Where were you at 5 years ago? And, not being cute or funny, but I had asked one of my buddies, I said, what were you doing 10 years ago? She said, girl, I was in jail. She was kidding, but some of us may have been incarcerated. So
right.
Wherever you were, are you in the same place? And when I say the same place, I mean mentally. What used to trip you 10 years ago should not be tripping you now. Why? Because we expect that you've grown. That your perspectives have grown, your experiences have grown. The roads that you traveled, if you still travel those same roads, I bet you see things differently. Mm-hmm. Right? Does it make sense? So that's where we're going at today. What's different in your life? What did you want 5 years ago that you still don't have? What did you dream about 10 years ago and you still desire? So we're not trying to come off, mystical or seventh level or none of that. We're just going to say like, hey, sweetie, if what you've been doing hasn't gotten you what you want or need or desire, you need to change your act. Yes. It's simple as that. So I started with self. And I was saying, well, Sharon, where were you at 15 years ago? I know where I was, and I knew how I was.
Where were you?
Oh, I was doing a government job, working very, very hard. But somewhere between that 15th and that 10-year period, I experienced great loss. My lifelong partner had died, and at the age of 55, I woke up and I said, I'm alone. I'm alone for the first time in my life, and who's going to love me now? So as we fast forward, well, Sharon, that was, almost 15 years, 13 years ago. Who are you now? I had to do some serious emotional inventory of my life. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew wherever I was going, it had to be better than what I was. So I say this to ask us to think about this. I wanted love in my life, and I was willing to have, to re-enter my life because I've always felt love. Mm-hmm. But is it the right love? Is it a good love? And it's a love that rewards you with what you're putting out too and with what you need. So we had said jokingly, as I was talking to Rosa one day, Rosa said, oh my goodness, if I would have met you 15 years ago, it would not have happened. And you know what? She's absolutely right because I wasn't ready. I was ready for some things, but
I was still married anyway. But I'm just saying.
Well, right. But 15 years ago, you was married to that man, Ooh, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah.
So you're right. So she wouldn't have been ready. I wouldn't have been ready. Yeah. But my need still existed. So follow me on this. So, 13 years ago, 10 years ago, I was getting ready. My prayers had changed. My desires had changed. And my actions to achieve what I wanted had changed. I was willing to give more of myself. Not that I was selfish before, but what had changed was that I had gotten older. I had grown. What made me grow? The experiences of life. I'd experienced loss. I had almost not financial failure, but I did. I think I became very, very prosperous during that time. Because I was working harder on some things. Spiritually, I was growing. As a woman, I was becoming a different person, but for good reason. I was changing, but the changes were good. Yeah. And my prayers were different. I was asking to become a better version of myself and to get ready for the love that I knew I deserved to come into my life. Now, Don't want to stick on my story, so here it is. Oftentimes we want, we desire, we pray for it, and we do nothing else. Well, I told God what I need, He knows, you know what I mean? I told my girlfriend, I told my friends, and you've done absolutely nothing. One of my long-term buddies of mine came to me one day, and she said, "Well, Sharon, you just seem to make it look easy. You all, you dating, you always running around, you're going to a party, and and all of that." Well, because I was ready to work very hard to achieve what I wanted. I knew nobody was coming to look for Sharon, come to my house, knock on the door and say, "Here I am, Sharon." I knew it wasn't going to happen that way. So what I did was I had to reinvent myself or change some things where I thought could use some changing. I joined Weight Watchers at the time. I joined Weight Watchers. I started walking. I started going to all the parties. I was even crashing some people's parties. Like, well, who's Sonia? Well, ask Sonia, can I come? You know what I mean? Because I had to go where it was because I didn't think it was going to find me. Right? So, and then I used that theory for a while, and then something came upon me spiritually. And as they say, you've heard this before, let God be God. And I just stood still. And I was aware of the fact that whoever I'm supposed to be with, she's looking for me too. And how correct I was. Mm-hmm. Rosa found me. And just to give you a snippet, going back for the people who haven't seen the show before, Rosa and I did meet online. And when I saw her and her profile, I closed the screen 3 times. Why? Because I didn't think the age difference would work. Because I'm 17 years older than her, and thinking that I was at a different station in my life. And I was. At this time, I'm ready to retire. I'm counting down the days, drawing the days on the calendar. 5, 4, 3. I was ready to go to a different part of my life, But I had worked very hard to achieve my dreams. And as I say that, one of the dreams that I had came true. Rosa found me. And I found her. And I wasn't afraid to accept the fruition of my dreams. I had prayed for her. Now, I didn't know it was going to be Rosa. I didn't know it was going to be Rosa Marie. I didn't know that, but I knew I was worthy. So, not to get too deep on that, but that's how it happened for me. So, making it about you, I'm asking you guys today to look at your life that you're living. What were you doing 10 years ago that was terrorizing you, upsetting you, or exciting you that you stopped doing or that you're still doing? All right. How have you changed? Where are you at spiritually? Are you still working on it? Do you really think that it's just going to come and develop itself and plop itself, at 5 o'clock on the table, say, "Here I am"? No, you really, really got to work on it. I get very concerned when I haven't talked to somebody in 5 years and they're doing the same old thing, singing the same old song, and being just as happy as I left them. I said, "Well, what did you do about it?" "Oh, I hate Cleveland." Well, move. If you don't like Cleveland, move from Cleveland. "I can't stand my father-in-law." Okay, well, how much do you have to deal with him? Are you married to him or, the daughter? Right. So those kind of things. So oftentimes we have the strength, we have the knowledge, we have the energy, we even have the knowledge, but we flirt with it, or it even scares us. How I came across the saying that, the answer, you simply don't want to accept it.
Y'all, I'm sorry, I had to go get a sweater.
A little chilly, okay.
It's a little cold out here, but Sharon, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just learning our own lessons and applying them. I had a lifelong friend, many friends. I'm a friendly person. I'm a loyal friend. But we were friends for over 35 years. She was in the Marine Corps. I was in the Navy, and we thought we were hotsy-totsy, and we were just the baddest thing. Okay, but she got out the military and went on, had a successful career. I retired and had a successful career elsewhere. Well, what had happened? I'm talking to my friends in lesbian land. What's the only thing that could break up 2 lifelong friends? I don't mean in a relationship, just our friendship. A woman. Well, here's a quick and dirty of it. I was dating a woman, and then I wasn't dating her. But okay, that's quick enough. Well, as life would have it, my friend met her socially. There wasn't a connection romantically. Well, they really did become good friends, and It happens. In lesbian lands, you know what we do. We change partners on commercials. Okay, you know how we do, real quick. So what happened was things got a little touchy, and I really wasn't feeling too good about it. But I'm checking out my own maturity about it. Well, hey Sharon, that's the way it goes. You don't win them all. But I didn't have a pinch with the girl I was once seeing. I had a pinch with my friend, because the friendship had gone to the point where I'm sure they were sharing some confidences. Well, a negative event had happened, and my friend came to me, and she was sharing, the dynamics of the situation. I was so upset about it, and right or wrong, this is what I told her. I said, I know you don't know the old Sharon, or you thought you knew her, but this is the new Sharon. I am prepared to live the rest of my life without your friendship. I love you, but I will never speak to you again if this persists. I'm going to tell you, I don't know where I got the strength from. I meant it. And how you say something so clear and it's eyeball to eyeball. I didn't stutter, and I heard the words coming out of my throat, and I'm just saying, I can't believe I'm saying this. This is one of my best friends in the world, right? But I told her, I knew I was in so much pain, and I thought some of the pain she had caused or was not sensitized to. And I am a loyal friend. Anyone will tell you, if you got me for a friend, I'm your girl, right? So what I learned in that moment was my happiness and my own my own self-respect was more important to me than our friendship. I let it go. I let some time, pass. She called me in about 2 months, and she said, I'm so sorry. I had no idea this has affected you the way it did. I appreciate your honesty. I really still love you. We've been through too many things for us to fall apart about some woman that neither one of us is sleeping with, right? And you know what I told her? Thank you. I'm glad you understand. But it was never the same. It was Humpty Dumpty does not get put all back together. It's never the same. Absolutely. The cracks are there. So what I learned from myself doing that, and excuse me for minimize, just trying to condense it. What I learned in that moment about myself was, I love you very much, but I love me more. The friendship that was experienced over those 35 years was true and good and real. But I had grown. I had grown in a different way. I had grown to the point that I was loving me more. I wasn't depending on my friends to love me as much. And that was a big one for me. I don't know where I got the courage from, but something changed. And as we're speaking about this today, it's what happens when you're not just getting old, but you're growing. You're growing because you've been through more experiences. You understand things differently. Your vision, your perspective, even your intuition changes. And you're probably much better for it. Now, I'm sad at the loss of the friend, but I'm so glad of who I am and that I love me enough to stand and speak my own truth and support it and live with it. So that's where we're at today. Now, as I said, we don't rehearse the shows, but I'm going to turn it over to Rosa because I got a couple of questions for her. Rosa, where were you at 10 years ago, and where do you think you've grown as a person? What area of your life?
I'm just shocked that I get a chance to speak because, Sharon loves hearing herself talk. But
it's always a crack. It's always a crack.
No. Wow. 10 years ago. Okay.
Oh, five.
No, 10 years is good because that was a good growing point for me. I was actually going through my divorce. So I got divorced in 2011. And I grew a lot. And when Sharon was talking about strength, I don't know where I even got the strength from to ask for the divorce, because there was a lot of things that in my 9 to 10 years of marriage that I let go. I was very independent for a long time prior to getting married.
Yes.
And when I got married, I let my ex-husband take care of a lot of things that I was so used to taking care of. And so I had lost myself in a sense. And going through the divorce, I had to figure me out all over again. So now I'm older figuring me out. 10 years later. And so my perspective on things have changed drastically. So I had to grow quickly in some areas, and in some areas I wasn't sure how to grow. And by this time I'm a mom of two, and now I'm getting ready to go into that single mom mode, which was very new to me. And I had never, been there before, and so now I'm looking at other single moms and seeing how they kind of, look at life and do things. And, I incorporated my own stuff, and then trying to, figure out, how you feeding your kids and paying bills at the same time.
By yourself.
When I didn't have to really think about that because my ex-husband took care of a lot of the bills. And so, feeding the kids wasn't an option. Going to Disneyland wasn't, wasn't a struggle to even think about. It was something like, next week we'll go to Disneyland.
Again, right. Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. So a lot of my things, as far as growing, came financially. I grew very quickly in figuring out my finances and how to budget and how to do those things, when before I thought I had it down prior to marriage, but I really didn't.
No.
I really didn't,
and
because
now
I didn't
you got
even
two
look
kids.
at it that way.
Now you got two kids, you and two kids.
So I'm juggling stuff and figuring out how to juggle stuff. I became decent at it. You know what I'm saying? Like I can, pick my son up and still go watch my daughter's, musical instrument playing, whatever she was doing at the time. And I figured it out and got into a routine, and it was okay, Also, 10 years ago, once I came out of my divorce and I married Sharon, and this is 5 years ago now. So
right. But there was a gap.
Ago.
You didn't get divorced and then marry me. There was your time.
Oh, no.
Yeah. There was several years.
We got married 5 years ago. I got divorced 10 years ago. So I think they can do the math.
Right.
I'm hoping.
Follow the story.
And they know where we've been too.
Right.
But I'm never good at telling stories the whole way. So, y'all get it. Y'all know me now for a year. So you get it. So in that sense, I, when I married Sharon, I was, grew in a different way, because now I'm a wife again, but I'm a wife to a woman who, things have changed. Now we got two people with attitudes in the house. You know what I'm saying? My ex-husband didn't really have an attitude. Sharon kind of does.
Wait a minute. Dare I say a Gemini and an Aries? I just got to throw that in there, okay? Because Aries are...
So just
not easy.
Just learning to, once again, live with someone, be respective of someone else's needs, and, cater to them and do all of that. I had to learn that all over again. And that was my part in growing. And at the same time, you're trying to, do other stuff with your career and move and, get paid more and do, this, that, and the other.
And be there for the children and all that.
Yeah. So it was for me at first topsy-turvy. It just looked like I don't know which way I was going. And, but I think my divorce made me grow up a lot quicker. In certain areas, because I always felt like I was a mature person. I never did crazy stuff. I don't know, people just get in the car and drive to Vegas and just have a good time and don't even think about nothing until they get back, and then bills come and then you realize you spent $500 in Vegas. Right. That just wasn't me. I was always strategic when I wanted to do something or plan to do something out, and if it didn't fit in my mind, it just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
So I think a lot of my growing came in that aspect, but don't know. Do I know if it means I'm mature? I don't know. But I feel like I matured a whole lot.
Yeah, growth has a price.
Yeah, but
growth has a price.
I could be a kid at heart sometimes, in doing things that I enjoy. You guys hear our story. I love jumping double dutch. I just like bringing that part of me out, and it feels good. So I think in that sense, I love to have fun, but in other sense, I'm just stern. When it comes to my kids, it's like, no, we're going to do this, you're going to do that, and I need to know this.
Right. And it feeds your spirit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think I've grown a lot. I'm just not sure, how to put it all in one.
Okay,
Because
or apply
it's in different areas.
But sometimes we don't know how much we've grown until a situation comes up and that we have to apply it. You know,
Yeah,
like, oh, I
that's
didn't
true.
know I was that strong. I didn't know I was that smart. I didn't know that had that much energy. When I look at 15 years ago, you know, I was dealing with 2 careers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And seeing 3 different women and da-da-da-da-da. You know, like, look, I can't even deal with my wife half the time. Like, okay. One thing I did learn, did you want to share more about your story? You okay?
No, you like hearing yourself talk. Go
Okay,
ahead.
the second time you said that, she's so mean to me.
Because it's true.
No. Look,
It is
someone's
true.
got to run this show. So.
I got stuff to say. She don't give me the opportunity.
Wait.
Well, go ahead.
Do we need to go offline again?
You need to start fresh.
Here we go. I'm gonna push the redo button. Okay. You're so silly today. Me. So, but like I say, you know, often change happens in a moment. It's right when you would do something, but in that moment you said, no. The last couple of times I did that, it didn't work out. I'm doing the new thing today. It's when 15 years ago, if you want to have a person, you want to raise hell this morning? Let me go into my one-size-fit-all raise hell outfit, because I'll get with you. Yeah. Don't do that anymore. There's oftentimes when, in my mind, like, you know, Rosa can be a little bit off the chart on some things. And I'm like, sometimes I don't even address it. I really don't, because I'm saying she merely has a need to vent. I don't have to, I can stay and hear it, but I don't have to take it aboard as painful. She's just saying what she's got to say. Are we still going out to dinner, babe? Yep. Okay, but let her say what she needs to say. Seriously, I mean, that's how I deal with some of it. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, it's a disservice to my own spirit for me to go tit-to-tat with her. You know, you got your sword, well, mine is longer. Tit-tit-tit-tit. We're not doing that. Yeah. We're not doing that at all.
But one of the areas I know that you want me to grow in is you know, Sharon thinks I have like this negative thinking.
Negative fantasies. I think she employs negative fantasies.
Because I've always been, I grew up thinking if you think the worst and it happens, you're not disappointed. But if you
you're
think
not surprised.
the worst,
You're not surprised.
Yeah, but you're still not, disappointed and surprised. Mm-hmm. But if you think the worst and the other happens, then it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like a win-win situation. Whereas if you think this great thing is going to happen, and I'm not saying, you know, I'm always thinking that. I'm just always aware. I'm always aware. Like Sharon will look for her key when she gets to her car door. And I'm like, it's keyless. You just need to be standing at your car door and you open it up. She doesn't get that. And I'm like, it's for purposes, if you got a lot of stuff in your hand or if somebody's coming after you, you can get in your car real quick. You don't have to stand there and look for your key to get into your car. It's to be aware. And she's just like, well, who's thinking like that? Who's trying to come after me? I'm just saying that you never know who's trying to come after you.
Well, let me say this. I'm
just aware, and she thinks I always think negative because I'm aware. I'm just aware of this world.
I feel like I'm aware too, but in a different way. Wait a minute. First of all,
that's just one
let me say this.
example.
Let me say this. I don't think that was the best example. But two,
okay, give me an example.
No. I don't want to feel the need. I don't feel the need to speak to that anymore. Because the old Sharon would have went there.
True.
Okay,
she knows she right. Yeah.
Because I know you're right.
Yeah. She just thinks that, you know, she'll pick up a stranger and not think of the possibilities that could happen. And it's like, I
have done that before.
This world is not the old world that Sharon remembers growing up.
Or take a homeless person to lunch.
When people were a little bit more
kinder and gentler.
Yeah, stable mentally. A lot of people are not stable mentally, and it's the kind things that sometimes get people in trouble.
Well, I
just want her to be aware.
I know,
that's it.
I know.
And it's not a negative thing. It's just you don't know where people are.
Well, sometimes people do think the worst, and they paint the worst scenario. And I go to the other way, and I'm just like, just think of all the wonderful things that can happen today. And she just like, I can get a flat, something else can go on, and it might rain.
It's not like that.
And it might rain, and then I'm like, okay, never mind. Now I have the blues with you. Never mind, baby.
Now you could be right on that a little bit.
Then I say, never mind. Let's just stay home and look at movies. Because Rosa said everybody gonna rain. Oh, please, she wears me out with that.
Well, I must say, to some degree, that is true.
Yeah.
And I am trying to work on that. And Sharon is not actually the only person who told me that. My daughter told me that recently. She's like, Mom, you always think the worst. And I'm like, I do? She's like, yeah.
And I don't think you
I had
mean
a conversation with her.
And I don't think you always hear it.
I just want her to be aware, too.
And look, and we need to work on that, too. That's true. She's a young girl and has not experienced the real world yet. And she's dealing with some interesting things down on Xavier campus. Exactly. So she's experiencing life, but only she can do it because the lessons are for her. But not comparing her. She's a 19-year-old young adult. We are fully grown. So what we're saying today, everything, usually the same things come upon people. The only differentiation is how you handle it as opposed to how I handle it. What would you do if your boo was cheating on you? Do you, really, do you kill her? Do you stab her 95 times?
Well, you probably would have gone off and would have stabbed them or tried to choke them. But the new you just would walk away, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I know I would. I never really, to lash out on somebody was never really my thing anyway. So I was always mature in that area. Like, I would leave the room, walk away, and just, lose my number. The person tried to call me, you know how you used to pick up the phone and hang it back there to let them know that you know it's them?
Yeah.
That type thing.
Yeah.
So other than that, no. But as Sharon is saying, when you're looking at you, how did you evolve with that? 10 years ago, what would you have done had you found your partner cheating versus, in today? Today's society, what would you do?
Right, exactly. And only you can speak to it because you're the one that's living through it. You share our stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As we've grown and gotten better, if you will, like I said, we're just asking you to be a little self-reflective. How do you manage pain? Yeah. How do you manage disappointment, anger, betrayal? Now, whatever your answers are, go back into your own little library of like, oh yeah, I was a little rough on Sarah, or whatever the case may be, or did you, blow your top? And look, unfortunately, I can go back to some very serious events in my life where had 2 more seconds evolved, I would have been on a whole different trajectory of my life. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? And a little angel came up and said, don't kill her. She ain't worth the time, where now I wouldn't even get there. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like I had the best relationship of my life. And every now and then when we get a little tight with each other or whatever, and I kid with Rosa, and I'm just saying, you are getting the best Sharon. You don't know how wonderful it is because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you'd have been too much for me.
And that
because it's already right there. I can't imagine
it being even more right. No, and that's okay. You know what I mean? When you're ready, she will appear, and she did. But I do think I'm at the best ever. I feel I've so much more evolved than I was before. I'm so much more mature, kind, loving. Not that I wasn't before, but I kind of like this edition a little bit more. So, before we let you guys go today, we're just asking you to take a minute and just ask yourself, how am I growing? You know what I mean? Am I better now than I was before? Yeah. Have I met my goals? What do you still dream of? Or are you caught up in your own negative fantasies and got yourself circling in some negative, vortex going on that only you created, and keep inviting yourself to the bad party, But free yourself of that, and when you have those kind of heart-to-heart conversations with yourself, are you the best version of yourself there can be? And if you're not, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to invest to make yourself get better now than you ever were? And, it is a process. It truly, truly is. And I'm not saying, we didn't jump up and like, oh, everything's cool. I don't need no more help. I'm perfect. No one is. Mm-hmm. It's in our perfections that we learn the most about ourselves. So
keep striving and keep doing and do that thing that you were nervous to do or scared to do. Just try it.
Yeah.
And, see how it makes you, they say the things that make you uncomfortable helps you to grow.
Absolutely.
So see how uncomfortable it makes you and do it and try it, and you might be maturing in a different area.
Well, Rosa has helped me in so many ways. I'll share this and let you go. A lot of you guys knew me as when I was doing comedy. I did stand-up comedy for over 15 years. And as Rosa does at least 19 different things a month to keep herself focused and having fun and all that. And I had to sit down. I was saying, well, what brought me the greatest joy, some of the greatest joy in my life? And I told her, I said, it was being on stage. And comedy is timeless. And so I said, she came home one day from work and I said, babe, I'm going back into comedy. I'm going back into comedy. Sharon Cartier is back on stage. and not being afraid of it, because don't be afraid of your own joy, especially when you're the one who receives the greatest benefit from it. All right. One thing I learned about myself now, and I like this version of Sharon. I feed myself first, and I don't
She does. She does.
I don't know what that meant. So I do, and I'm looking at people who don't.
Well, I'm working on that because I have never done that. I've never fed myself first because I've always thought of others.
Right, wait a minute, and we do mean that figuratively. Yeah. You know what I mean? And our relationships and how sometimes you're the first one that you give the most, you give it first, and you do it all the time. And I'm like that, sweetie. When Rose and I got together, I shared her with my list of this is what I've done, this is who I am, and this is where I'm trying to go. Does this fit or not? Because we don't even have to go down this road. But I will feed myself. I do for her. She does for me. We do for each another, as they say down south, because we loving each another. No, we do for one another. We really, really do. But I tell her, whether it's me or anybody else, feed yourself first. You are the most important person in this relationship, as I am the most important person in the relationship. That's cool, because me loving me doesn't negate me loving you too. It's just that I'm all I got. So I hope all that made sense, and we're just in a different mood this morning. We are enjoying this life, living it one day at a time, and sharing in the joy. One thing I feel that's almost magical, what makes it work with Rosa and I, that we are truly, truly, evenly committed to the happiness of one another. And I'm forever grateful, and I'm thanking God every day. So, as always, we're always wishing you the very best
of all good things. Stay safe and stay woke. And be safe.
Yeah. We love you. Give him a kiss.
We do love you.
Ow! Thank you.